We are watchmen, warriors, victors. Together, we will fight the good fight and finish strong. This is David Hebner Live.
Yes, we are victors. We win. That's why we're together. We're family, right? That's why we come together every Sunday morning and every Monday night. Because why? We want to know what Jesus talked about when he said, be not deceived. Folks, I'm excited about the show today, and I'll tell you why. This is a subject that I've had at least 30, 40, even more people say, David, would you cover this? Would you talk about this? It's so important. And I just haven't quite, I'm not going to say had time. It just hasn't quite fit in. But tonight, it has fit in, and it is fitting in. Folks, what are we talking about here? Something I think that you ought to call somebody and tell them to tune in this evening. When I say this evening, there's people all over the world. Sometimes that's morning where you are, afternoon, doesn't matter. But what are we talking about here? We're talking about, well, I'll give you a little taste here. Get ready for the camps. We got them now, says Jimmy Carter. We got them now. What does that mean? It means, folks, what we're talking about here is the Noahide laws, the Abraham Accords. What is it? Why is it? Who's behind it? What's the deal? You know, we talk about this. What's going on with Israel? I do not want to make this conspiracy conjecture. It's going to be to a certain point because we really don't know. But that's why we have to dive into these things. But what is the Noahide laws? The Abraham Accord, what does all that mean? There's a lot of people talking about it right now. And here's the deal. For years, I've covered many topics, but only few haven't been discussed. And one of the few I haven't discussed is the Noahide laws. But no topic's been more requested, and I wonder why. Could it be that God's telling his people something that they're telling me I need to cover? So what are they? Why are they? Who's behind it? Now, I'm not going to tell you I'm going to agree with everything we're going to talk about with my guest tonight, and I'm so glad she's coming on. She's devoted her life to it. I'm not going to say that because I ask a lot of questions, but I'm not going to say I'm not going to agree because I don't know where it's going. But I ask questions, and I always ask God to take us out on a higher level, which we came in. So this isn't about, it's never about me bringing people on that think just like me so that I can promote my agenda. This is me always bringing people on that I think fits into what God is trying to say. But it doesn't mean that I always put my stamp of approval on it. So you must understand that. It's like talking about the flat earth or talking about the rapture or talking about tongues. It goes 5,000 different ways. The Noahide laws, initiated in the United States in 1991 by Bush, introduced by Carter, and it replaced the 10 Commandments. These 7 commandments replaces the 10 Commandments. Really? So why is it not talked about? That's my question. Why is it not talked about? Let's bring my guest on, Diana Ketterman. Hey, Diana, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Dave. And like you were saying, is that everyone needs to do their own research and let the Holy Spirit guide them on all truth and check out everything that we talk about tonight.
Yeah, that's right. So I want to get into it. Let's talk about the Noahide laws. Is there a difference between the Noahide laws and the Abraham Accord? Are they just hand in hand?
Well, they're hand in hand because the laws are actual laws that have been passed in America and they have been recognized in all 50 states. And the Abraham Accords is a progressive step to bringing all of the 3 major religions into one, to getting people used to that one God, one religion. And that's one of the the requirements is that everyone has to believe that we have one God for all religions. All religions lead to the same God. That's the overarching theme.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about that now. Now I mentioned earlier that this whole thing was conjured up. Jimmy Carter had a lot to do with this. George Bush, 1991, they replaced the 10 Commandments with these 7 commandments of these Noahide laws, which we're going to talk about in a minute, what those 7 are, folks. But I want to go back to 1991. What happened between Bush and Carter?
Well, Carter initiated the Noahide laws in 1978. And then Reagan promoted them. Reagan came out and said that the Noahide laws are the moral foundation of America's character. And he signed a proclamation recognizing Rabbi Schneerson, which is the rabbi that is honored, that they believe that some people believe that he is the Messiah, he was the Messiah, or he's coming back as the Messiah because he's dead and he's buried in New York. But George Bush is the one that actually made it a law.
Okay. What year was that?
That was 1991, yes.
Okay. So it came into law, and this was 1991. Was this senior or junior?
Senior.
Okay. All right. And I'm sure junior carried it on.
Every president has. Every president.
Yeah. Okay, they replaced these 7, the 10 Commandments. They took out the 10 Commandments, but they put these 7 laws in. And I want to get into this. The first one is don't commit idolatry. That's in the 10 Commandments. What specifically are they honing in on here?
Well, they're honing in that we can't say that Jesus Christ is Lord, because if we say Jesus Christ is Lord, then we are making Jesus an idol over God.
Right. So in other words, it's a one God, a unity God. If you happen to praise Jesus, Jesus said, I am the way to the Father. I'm the only way to the Father. If that happens, then that's idolatry, right?
Yeah, that is up for beheading. There's 3 of the 7 laws that these laws have 200 sub laws under them, and 3 of these can be for beheading.
Let's go to the next one. Don't and help me here. The second one: don't blaspheme the name of God. Now, tell me what that means from their perspective.
Well, the way I understand it is you wouldn't blaspheme, like we say, we don't blaspheme the Holy Spirit. Yeah. And they accused Jesus of blaspheming when they said, "Are you the Son of God?" That's what Jesus was condemned on to die, was that he was a blasphemer. So we, really these are up for subjection, because the Jewish people. Now, I'm not saying all Jewish people, because not all Jewish people are in agreement that this should be a worldwide thing. Right. But the people the little group that is pushing this are in every state, are on every congressional office except one, and they're the ones that's already got it passed. So when they say don't blaspheme, they don't have to obey these laws. Only the Gentiles have to obey them. So they can make the law subjective anytime they want. Yeah.
Well, it makes sense, because if there's only one God, so they say, and you're not honoring that one God, meaning you're turning to Christ and saying, no, that's the only way to the true God, well, then you're blaspheming their God, right?
Right, right.
The God of unity.
Yes.
Okay, so Diana, see, here's why a lot of this makes sense, and because I often ponder, how in the world is there going to be an antichrist? I know there's a system, but there will be an antichrist. It can't be the Pope. It's not going to be some political, someone in politics. It's not going to be anybody famous in that way. But if they can construct a God of unity, then that God of unity can then proclaim the man of sin, bring forth the man of sin. The man of sin proclaims the God of unity. It's kind of like, it all connects together. Does that make sense?
Well, I kind of look at it a little differently. I take that scripture as the temple. See, they're talking about the third temple. That is a physical temple that's not in the Bible. That's in the Talmud. The temple in the Bible is us. We're the temple. And it says when the man of sin has exalted himself in the temple, when this man of sin has exalted himself in us, that's what we're following after this false religion. The man of sin is in this temple.
Okay, so what you're saying is honoring this God of unity is actually bringing the Antichrist into this temple, into you and I, into the people, right?
That's the way I see it. I think we're distracted with this third temple, this man that, because it was Nero, it was Hitler, it was Stalin, it was, all these people. So I'm saying, so we're getting distracted by a man whenever it's a spirit within this temple.
Right. But I think we can agree it is a system, because you can't have.
Oh, yes. Yes. It's a beast. It's an image. It's a mark. It's a lot of different facets.
Yeah. And this God will proclaim that we need to take the mark because it's a good thing to do. And I got to be careful what I say. But in case there's another scamdemic and they come out with an antidote, this God of unity would put a seal of approval upon this antidote for us to take, which could either be it could be a prelude to the beast, the mark, or it could be. That makes sense.
Well, I mean, as it stands right now, I can pick up on my telephone on Bluetooth people who have taken that. Okay, so what they want is that's a community pickup. They want a global pickup, so they can control your temperature, your health, that type of thing. And so the more data they get from you, the more they control you. Now, my understanding is that once you get involved to that point and you submit yourself to the system, you will feel a love like you've never felt before, and people's going to think it's the real God.
Oh my goodness, you're so right, because all of the religions will come together. The Catholics, the Baptists,
Muslims,
they'll all come together under one. They'll discover, they believe that there's one God, and it's the real, true God. So we're on number 2 right now. This is of seven commandments. We're on number 2. Don't blaspheme the name of God. The first one is don't commit idolatry. And it means don't worship anything except their God, this fake God. You can't go to Jesus. And number 2 is, if you do, that's blasphemy. Let's talk about number 3. By the way, let's back up. Number 2, I showed a slide just a minute ago. I want to show it again because I think it's important for us to understand this. We got them now. Get ready for the camps. Diana, this is a good way to, if we don't worship this false God, that's an excuse for them to persecute Christians. In other words, a Holocaust, a new coming Holocaust. Do you think that's a possibility?
Yes, I think they're starting with, we're getting rid of the immigrants that we don't want here, and they're not being vetted properly.
Right.
So I think there's a list of people, and we're on the list.
So let's talk about the immigrants. They're getting rid of immigrants. Is there a reason? I mean, is there something behind that, or did you just happen to mention that?
I just think it's a test run to try to see how things are going to work out, moving people around, getting them into places.
Okay. So in other words, you think possibly it could have been a whole test run with them opening up the border for the past 4 years, letting immigrants in just as a beta test to see how it's going to be moving people around, shipping people out, sending them places.
That's a guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's conjecture, but it's interesting. And if I'm writing a script for episode 4, 5, 6, Last Evangelist, I'd probably put that in there because it makes a lot of sense. Okay, so Jesus said they persecute me, they'll persecute you, and also they hated me, they're going to hate you. Now,
Right.
let's go to number 3. Don't murder. Let's talk about that. Don't murder. What do you think they mean by don't murder, other than don't go out and just shoot somebody?
Well, I think the one target is abortion, and the Jews take, and you can find this article, you do a Google search, they take credit for helping influence the passing of Roe v. Wade. And so they want to get people, my body, my choice, trick people into fighting for their right to have an abortion. And then we got you. You committed murder.
Okay. They trick them into it. Also, they're saying that your words are like murder. You can say,
yes. I heard Ivanka Trump just this last week had a little video clip that she's converted to Judaism, and that, she has to be really careful with her words, because you can never take your words back, and they could be construed as murder.
Right. So if you speak against the God that they've conjured up, that's blasphemy. If you speak against the people behind this conjuring up the God, that's murder. So now you got a double whammy going on here, right?
Could be. Or some of the new laws that's out, the anti-Semitic laws could be tied into that.
Yeah, let's talk about Israel. There's 2 Israels, kind of the way I'm seeing it now. There's people, I always tell people, they get confused when it comes to Israel now, because there's 2 Israels. There's the real Israel, the true Israel. And then
Israel of God.
And then there's the government of Israel. Well, actually, it's 3. Government of Israel, the Israel that you see, that you read about, you've been preached about, this Israel that is not the real Israel. It's kind of a not a counter. It's a counterfeit, but it's
a hijacked name.
Facade. Yeah, it's a facade. It's been hijacked. Yeah. Then you got the real Israel. So let's talk about the 3: the government Israel, the Israel that everybody sees, hears about. Bring all of our people back and blah 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 blah. That's that Israel. The counterfeit. And then let's talk about the real. So the government. What say you?
Well, the government that's there now didn't get there until 1948, and that land was never named Israel. Never was that land named Israel. It's always been Canaan or Palestine. When Jesus was there, it was the kingdom of Israel, which meant the 12 tribes. Okay, and I did a show recently called the 8 Ways to Be a Jew, and none of them are chosen, because even the government in Israel had to have a special session to try to determine who constitutes being a Jew, because right now the Pope is one of the most top 50 influential Jews.
Wow. Okay. So now we got the government. We got Netanyahu. We've got all the. And by the way, I've spent a lot of time in Israel. I have family from Israel, and if the people of Israel, they're a lot of them are about as godless as can be. Oh, they'll say, they believe in, in God, but not really, not really. They're so worldly that it's and liberal too.
Yep. Only 1% actually believe in Jesus Christ.
Well,
and the Bible Revelation says that Jerusalem is as Sodom and Egypt.
Yeah,
so
I'm not
talking, city,
I'm not talking about believing in Jesus, Diana. I'm talking about just believing in
More.
God. They're about as
More.
godless, a lot of them. And then you have the Jews. You got the Orthodox. You got the Reformed. You got different. And would they be the counterfeit? Would they be the facade? Or because we're talking about 3. We just talked about the government, which is the people also. Now I'm talking about, Orthodox, Reformed in Israel. Would they be the true Israel, or are they a counterfeit?
Well, according to the Word of God, the Israel of God are the Jews that's not outward, but that's inward. The one to know Jesus Christ. And that can be from any group of people. That can be from any tribe, any nation.
Yeah. it could be from the people in Israel that are the Orthodox, Reformed. It could be chosen out of there. They could be, but what you're saying is it's not that group. The true Israel is within. It's the other
Spiritual.
category, which is you and I, which could include even people in the government if they really know God, right? So it could be out of the other categories, but that third category is the real Israel, right?
Yes, the physical Jews are actually the Palestinians. There's been DNA research, and their DNA is tracked back to the 12 tribes.
Back to the 12 tribes. Okay. So we've covered 3. I want to, folks, we're dissecting this. The first one, don't commit idolatry. Okay. Second, no blasphemy. Don't blaspheme the name of God. Third, do not murder. All right. Do not murder. And then the fourth one is don't commit sexual acts. But before we go to that, I'm going to ask Diana about Donald Trump, about what's happening now in politics, how it ties in to the Noahide laws, and what you and I need to not only be aware of, but be praying for, or could it be that maybe even praying against? We'll be right back. I want you to go to davidheavener.tv. We have 2 exclusive videos that are up. You won't see any place else. I'm Dr. Michael Lake. The first one is Technocracy and Tyranny. That's part 2. Part 1 is MK Ultra is used today, program multiples and mass shootings. This is stuff you're not going to get anywhere else. You'll get it on davidheavener.tv. Please support us. If you haven't signed up, go and sign up now. You get a 2 months free if you sign up for a year. And folks, it is not expensive, but it really does help the ministry. And also you'll get over 700 videos. Spencer, what are the names of some of those channels up there?
Yeah, David, we've got the live stream channel. We've got the Russ Dizdar tribute channel, David's Choice, In the Spotlight, Spiritual Warfare Training, Alien Demon Connection, The Last Evangelist TV series, originals and exclusives, Mind Control.
And it's the only place you can see Last Evangelist, davidheavener.tv. When you donate to this ministry, I can honestly tell you that we talk about things the church won't. I do my best. I do my best to get the word out, and so does Shanita. And anything that you can give that God lays on your heart would be appreciated. It keeps us going. It keeps this show going. It keeps us traveling to pray for people. And it's just much appreciated. davidheavener.tv/give. Consider becoming a monthly partner. You can call 844-806-0006, or you can text the word chosen to 91999. Thank you for all your support and your prayers out there, folks. I appreciate it. So we are the fire, okay? We're the fire of God. We're the truth. We carry the torch, right? But when we compromise and we let the winds of Satan blow our fire out, all we become is smoke and mirrors, right? We do not want to be smoke. We want to stay fire, and that's why we do what we do. And I'm so glad you're with me tonight, because I've got Diana Ketterman with me. She's devoted her life to a lot of things, but one thing in particular, what we're talking about tonight is the Abraham Accord, the Noahide. All right. And I've had a lot of people ask me, David, would you cover it? Well, we're covering it. All right. Now we're on number 4. And I'm going to ask Diana about number 4. But before I do, I'm going to ask her about what's happening in politics right now. So, Diana, President Trump is the president. And I'm glad he's president. My goodness, if it would have gone the other way, I don't know what would it have been like, But I know we're talking the Second Temple, and I know that he has a passion for Israel. I know he gets along with the prime minister. I know. I get all that. But how does he fit in, do you think, to the Noahide laws?
Well, when Trump was in office the first time, he was entitled the champion of the Noahide laws. And the rabbis came out and said that the reason why he didn't win that second time was because he didn't keep all the Noahide laws as he should have. And he's also been named by the Sanhedrin, which is the court that, that Jesus was in front of. That Sanhedrin has resurrected, and they have named him the Messiah of David. They have two Messiahs, the Messiah of David, Messiah of Joseph, and they've named him the Messiah of David. He was told in the Israeli news just recently, 2024, they said the key to his victory is the Noahide laws. And we know that on October the 7th, he was with the Jews in New York visiting the graveside of Rabbi Schneerson. Now, Rabbi Schneerson is the one that is behind this. Now, just this week, February 14th, just yesterday, a Sanhedrin letter came out in Israeli 365 News that says the Sanhedrin letter to Trump says that you have been elected to fulfill a heavenly mission. And of course, he had the Trump coin minute, and I have one of those coins that I bought back in 2018 in Israel when he moved the embassy to Jerusalem. The embassy moving to Jerusalem was symbolic in that possibly America is now under the judiciary authority. Once we come under the judiciary authority, that then becomes a submissive to them. Now you see all these other embassies coming into Jerusalem. That was due to Donald Trump's influence. Miriam Adelson wanted him to bring those embassies in there so that this worldwide judicial authority could be over those embassies.
Mm-hmm. So are you saying that whoever's behind these Noahide laws, whoever the puppeteer is powerful enough to keep Trump out of office and powerful enough to bring him back into office? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, because they're behind AIPAC. They're in every congressional office except Massey. Okay. And they're very influential. And, reports have come out now. All the JFK stuff hasn't come out, but there's reports that's come out now about the Mossad being involved with that.
Okay. Okay. Well, who's behind it? Who's the puppeteer behind the Noahide laws?
Well, in my opinion, it's not just the Jews, because, like I said, there's a lot of Jews out there who don't want anything to do with this. I think it's the Jesuits. I think it's the Illuminati, the Rothschilds. There's a whole group. There's a powerful group that position themselves in the holy city, and it's an unholy mission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the bloodline. And folks, if you've been with me for quite some time, I've done so many shows on the bloodline, the families. So go back and watch those shows. You can watch them on David Heavener TV. Just type in bloodline, Illuminati, and search, and you can pull those up, and you'll find out more of what Diana's talking about. I agree. Now, here's the thing. If Trump is put in by this puppeteer, why does he want to expose and open up go back to JFK and open up all that stuff that's been confidential all these years and Jeffrey Epstein and all that? Wouldn't they want that to be to stay closed?
I think part of the Illuminati's rules are that they have to have everything out in the open, and people will still follow the wrong way.
Yeah.
Even when they bring everything out, it's kind of like now people are saying, yes, we got USA. That's gone. That's great. But while you're trumpeting that, you have Elon Musk bringing in digital currency, stealing your data and putting it into machine learning for the digital ID. And your eyes are off of what's going on because they're showing you things that you want to see.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I always tell people, if you're seeing what Satan is doing, chances are it's not really Satan. It is Satan, but that's that's a drama that he's putting on. It's a play. It's not real. What he's really doing is something over here that you're not looking at. It's right. A diversion. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think all this stuff is it's theatrical. It's theater. A lot of it, and it's very cool. I'm up in the middle of the night, Googling, what's happened latest? What's Elon Musk? What's he gone after this time? But here's the thing. Here's the thing. If what you're saying is true, and I want to say what you're saying is true. I'm not saying I don't believe what you're saying. I'm saying there's certain things I have questions about, and like I said at the beginning, I don't agree with what everybody says that I bring on the show, but we as Christians, we come together and we pray that God will give us the information he needs to give us. But if this is true, Diana, then how close do you think we are before this Antichrist system, before the Antichrist occupies the third temple, which is us, you say? Are we around the corner on this? And I know nobody can tell time, but are we on the edge of the cliff, or are we just kind of approaching, from a distance?
Well, the goal is 2030. That's the key year for a lot of things to happen. And so implementing it, I think there'll be things implemented before the end of this year, before 2025 is out.
Yeah.
A digital biometric, and then it'll go from one step to the other. And as this younger generation thinks it's cool to wipe your hand or do whatever with the chip, and that you can communicate and you can put glasses on and see everybody's address when you look at them.
Right.
Everything, all these cool things. This generation has been brought up on a video game mentality. They've never known complete natural, the way God intended it. That's going to accelerate it. And then as they start feeling that love, people, the buying and selling is going to, people are talking now, how are you going to buy and sell? If everything, okay, so but looking at my eyes, is that the mark yet? I don't believe it is yet. But when you put chips in you, that when you refuse to do that, how are you going to pay your property taxes?
Well, you're not. Scripture talks about they were killed because they wouldn't take it. So in other words, you risk. I won't take it. I risk, and this is what happens. I want to go to number 5. I'm dyslexic, so I might have lost count my numbers here. Number 5: don't commit sexual acts. I know what it says. I know what I just said, but what do they mean by that?
Well, this is the third one that's up for beheading. If you do this, this has to do with fornication, lesbian, homosexuality, adultery. But again, this push that we just came out of with the Biden administration of pushing it in your face,
right?
Putting it into the school system,
right?
Changing people's sex, getting children to thinking that there's something else. Again, this push is a gotcha. People's like, I think I want to be something else, or I should have been something else. They've already got you into the trap. So once you move into that trap, you're now up for the beheading.
So they've kind of plowed the field and made the soil fertile for planting the seed of deception when it comes to, young kids are confused about their sexuality. You're saying that these people have been behind this. They want the kids to be confused. They want them to be trans, even the gays. I had a guy working for me, Diana, for years. He was my assistant. Great guy. And he always proclaimed to be gay. Matter of fact, if he could wear a badge that says I'm gay, he would have wore a badge, right? Mm-hmm. I never saw him with a guy. And he was one of the most moral people that I ever knew. I would trust him with he babysitted little Abraham when Abe was just a baby. And I would trust him before I would a lot of Christians. Mm-hmm. But he proclaimed being gay, but he didn't match up. So I think what's happened is a lot of people have been brainwashed thinking they are gay. So they're just going to wear this badge so that when they stand up in the face of what you're talking about, who's behind these Noahide laws, they're going to stand up and say, no, I'm gay. I proclaim it. Off with the head,
Yep.
So it's like you said, they've created a club and they've suckered people to join, right?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. You mentioned 3 things that would cause you beheadings. Well, let me go through the rest of them, and then I'll ask you which ones. Okay. But before we go to the next one, don't steal. I want to talk about pornography, the porn biz. if you're into pornography, if they catch you with that, that's a sexual act. Does that mean you get beheaded on that too?
Yes, like that's up to the subjection. There's a court system. That number 7 is the court system. So they would have to determine that. But you should know too that the Talmud promotes pedophilia. So again, they don't have to obey these laws. They only have to make them and enforce them.
Kind of like the government.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Congress. So who owns the porn industry in your opinion? Like who's behind the porn industry?
Well, from my research and what I've seen is that most of it is Jewish owned.
Really? Jewish owned?
That's what they supposedly they own Hollywood. A lot of the, like Spielberg, there's a lot of people that are Jewish. And I'm not saying that they're a part of this. I'm just saying that when you start looking at the big players.
Yeah. Well, now Hollywood was owned by Jews, and I talk about this a lot, but it got bought up in the 80s by the Asians, by China, by Japan. So that's why Hollywood is godless now. It's not, they do hate God, but they're also godless. I think the Jews have been taken out of Hollywood, but I don't know. I mean, you've done your research, and folks if you're listening out there, you need to do research. You don't listen to me. Don't listen to Diana. I mean, you can hear us, but go out and do your own research. Okay.
Absolutely.
She says that it could be Jews that are into the porn industry. I don't know. I don't know that. I mean, it could be, Indians. It could be, but you've got to go. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter unless it connects. In other words, if it doesn't connect dots, it's all sensationalism anyway, right? We could sit here and say Chinese are behind the porn. Well, really, Satan's behind it. And Satan wears
two spirits, Antichrist and Christ.
Yeah, it's only 2 spirits, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go to don't steal. I know don't steal. You don't want to steal. But what do they mean by don't steal? What's behind the don't steal and why?
It's another gotcha. And they have in one of the laws that, even if you walk into a restaurant and you pick up an olive and you eat an olive, that can constitute stealing if that wasn't on your receipt.
Wow. Just about everybody is going to be guilty of that. I mean, at what point, like taking a pencil at work, right? I took a pencil, it didn't belong to me. Yeah. It's almost like, Diana, it's almost like we're going back to the religious Jews, the Sanhedrin, the Pharisees, right? What's a Sanhedrin court? But we're going back to strict regulations.
That's why they want a temple. They want a temple. They want the Sanhedrin. They want to do murder. Back in the Old Testament, they killed you for these things.
They did, because it was so stringent. And I have to paraphrase this because there's no way I'm going to get it right. But, Jesus talked about this. Said, you got so many laws, you can't even obey them yourself. Right. You don't even know what they are. And they
don't have to obey them.
No, they're all created by you, not by God, right?
Yep.
The same spirit that's behind the Noahide laws is the same spirit, correct me if I'm wrong, that hung Jesus on the cross, that wanted to see Jesus. Same spirit Jesus came against, right?
Yep. And you know what Jesus had done differently? This is in the Jewish encyclopedia. I bought some old books that they said that's what he did differently was he said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And he brought grace and redemption to homosexuals or thieves or the thief on the cross. He brought redemption for all these things.
He did, and this is something I want to talk about. I think is really important. On the set of Last Evangelist, and folks, if you guys haven't seen it, you can watch it on David Heavener TV, or you can I have it on these DVDs. You can order episode 1 and 2. A shameless plug here. And Diana, we're going to talk about your book in a second too. But if you want to get these episode 1 and 2, just go to davidheavener.tv/order. Here's the thing. On the set of Last Evangelist, I had a transsexual. I had someone who was gay. I had a couple of atheists. And I had people that were nothing. They were just nothing, sprinkled among Christians, right? And I got to tell you, Diana, the people that were the trans, the gay, the atheists, they supported me more than anybody else. I mean, they even liked Last Evangelist. You know, they liked the fact that the government was in our business and shouldn't be, you know.
Right.
And so I started realizing something. God showed me something, that we got to step out of religion and stop putting these labels on people and just start loving people without compromise. Don't compromise, but you got to love people. You got to say, you're a person. I love you as a person, and let the Holy Spirit do the rest, right?
Yes, right. Absolutely.
Otherwise, we're in a Sanhedrin court, right?
Right.
And that's what religion does. That's what these, you know, Baptists, Methodists, Pentecost, I'll name them all, Catholics, you name, they all crucify these people I'm talking about, even before they even know them, or they allow them into their church and they want to initiate it, instigate it, embellish it, and promote it. That's not the right thing either, you know.
Right.
But there's a balance. Okay, let's go to the last one here. This is one of my favorites, if I have a favorite. Don't be cruel to animals. So what does that mean? Don't be cruel to animals. I know we're not supposed to beat our dog or a cat. What do they mean by that?
Well, if you're eating meat, you're going to have to kill the animal to eat it. So I believe that's where this big push is coming, to call the animals, to call the cows and now the chickens.
Okay.
I believe that's where it's coming from.
Okay, well, I'm a vegetarian, so I don't have that problem. So let's say,
you have fish. Do you eat fish?
Well, I will eat a fish, and I know where you're going. If you catch it, you're going to kill that fish. Or even if you're eating it and you didn't kill it, you're a you know,
right.
You ate it and abetted. It's just like your drive-away car, your getaway car about robbing a bank. So you cannot eat meat. If you do, you're cruel to an animal. So this will get rid of meat. Why do they not want you to eat meat? What's behind that?
I really haven't studied the sub laws on that one. I've focused mainly on these three that's for beheading. Yeah. Okay.
Which three are you going to lose your head on, folks? Let's go. You want what's behind door number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7? Which ones? Which of the three?
Well, 7. Well, number 7 we didn't talk about, but that is actually for them to create the court system to enforce these laws.
Okay. All right. So the Sanhedrin court system to enforce the law. That's number 7. Okay. Well, we know you won't get beheaded on that. That's where you'll get beheaded, period.
Yeah. And that is tied to a council that's in the state of Georgia that's now training people in the United States to be Noahide judges.
Yeah. You know, they had that. They had, and I covered this a bunch of times, and it got destroyed by lightning. What's it called? Help me out here. It was in Georgia.
The stones, guide stones.
Georgia guide stones.
Mm-hmm.
Why Georgia? I mean, you got the Georgia guide stones. You got what you just said's happening in Georgia. You got Fannie Willis. I mean, what else do you have in Georgia?
I know, it's bad state.
Why Georgia? What's in?
I don't know. I was wondering that too.
Why did Satan pick Georgia? That's bizarre. I mean,
the devil went down to Georgia, right? The devil went down to Georgia.
It did. The traffic's horrible. Okay, so which ones will you get beheaded?
The idolatry, for saying that Jesus Christ is Lord.
The first one, okay.
Yeah, for murder, abortion, and the sexual immorality.
Okay, so you got don't commit idolatry, don't commit murder, and don't commit sexual acts. Those 3.
Yeah.
You'll
and
lose
see this. The beheading has come in through the Christian nationalism with Charlie Kirk. He's now calling for all 12-year-olds to start watching beheadings, so that it can become normalized.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, there's a video. There's a video of him stating that.
Yeah. Diana, why are you attracted to this? What is it in your spirit that brings you to want to dissect this, even write a book about it, and to talk about it? What's going on?
Well, I went to Israel for the 3rd time 2 years ago this week, and I went there to investigate the unholy sites. I went there basically to investigate Freemasonry and the connection, because Israel says that they're the cradle of Freemasonry. And I had, a man on the street handed me a card about the Noahide laws in 2017, and I kept that card. In 2019, I was handed a card about their Messiah coming, which is the one that Trump just went to the grave, Schneerson. And then, and 2 years ago, I went down to the West Bank in Hebron, and the kid behind the counter told me that all of these world problems was going to be solved by the Noahide laws. And so it just kept popping up every time I went to Israel. And so I investigated it and started finding out more information on it. But it's not my number one topic in my book. It's just one of the topics on how it all ties in with the three religions and that type of thing, and Freemasonry and all those other types of things that's connected to it.
Yeah. So you went to Israel. What was your main purpose for going to Israel? What was the initial reason for going?
To find the unholy sites where Solomon had sacrificed the babies, where Judas hung himself, the cave of Zedekiah, where they hold the Freemasonry meetings.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about that for a second. Did you go to Bethlehem? I mean, Bethlehem looks like Compton, California. It's just terrible. It looks like the Mojave Desert, and it's horrible. I mean, forget about that, little baby in a manger, holy night thing that people have this. Doesn't look. It's been taken over by the Muslims. But all these places, like where Jesus was buried, the Catholics have their place where they say Jesus was buried. The Protestants have their place, and then I interview other people who say he wasn't buried in either one of those places. It was someplace else. What say you on that? The tombs, the shrines, the tours they have over there, is most of that real or is it not?
Okay, Constantine's wife, she named most of those holy places, but you'll notice that there's a Catholic church just about over every holy place.
Right.
And the Pope is the overseer of the Holy Land because of all of the land and all of the buildings and all the missions owned by the Catholics. So believe it or not, the Catholics are tied into the Holy Land very deeply.
Yeah. How did they get their hands on it? That's what I want to know.
Well, when they, Rome destroyed Jerusalem, and then Constantine started taking it over, and it's basically owned by the Catholics.
Yeah, it's all about the money, isn't it? Okay, so I'll tell everybody about your book. Hold it up. Let's see it. Where can they get it?
I don't have one right here with me. It's on my slide there. I don't know if you can move down to the last slide.
All right, I'll work on it.
Yeah, very last slide.
Okay.
There's a picture of it. Yeah, well, I was over there 2 years ago. The Lord woke me up at 2:45 in the morning to see a unscheduled crescent blood moon over the Sea of Galilee. And he gave me 3 warnings for the church. At that time, I was a Zionist. I didn't really understand what Israel was all about still. And he started telling me that a lot of these things in my books are from the Holy Spirit. Be not deceived. Jesus Christ is the only God, and be not distracted. So those are the 3 warnings. And my book is called Truth is Not of This World. And it's available on Amazon.
Okay. And how long did it take you to write it?
It took me a year.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to try to bring in Shanita. She wants to say hi, see what she has to say about it. She may be in the room. She may not. Let's see. Let's bring Shanita in. Hey, how are you, Shanita?
Well, Diana, your book has blown me away because so many things that I grew up believing, now your book just, exposes the lies.
I know.
Very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in
Same
other
for
words,
me.
the religious system hates Diana just like they hate me, right, Shanita? Here's the thing. Well, Shanita, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I mean, they hated Jesus, so that's a badge of honor, right? He promised.
Right. Exactly. Shanita, people like Diana, she's a female, obviously, and been around, and she's talking about things that aren't very popular, which has got to be very difficult. Being I don't mean to bring your gender into all this, but what I'm saying is it's got to be tough being out there. I know I'm one of them, and you're alone and you're saying these things to people that sometimes they look like deer in headlights. Diana, what kind of pushback have you gotten, and where have you gotten the pushback from?
Well, the pushback's been from the quote unquote Christians who have been trained in the Jesuit training, just like I was. I believe the first 2 trips to Israel, the 3rd trip to Israel, I still believe that. But whenever these people were pushing this in my face, the Noahide laws, and they were promoting even Freemasonry, I saw the unholiness in the holy place, the profane mixed with the holy.
Yeah.
And that's what's in these churches. See, that's what's in the churches.
Yeah, I don't like all these tours going to Israel. That bothers me. I've never taken a tour, don't want to take a tour, not interested in some corporate gathering, kind of like, let's go to Disneyland. And I know, I don't want to judge people. And I know, people are always saying to me, David, you're always raining on my parade. I mean, you look what you're doing. I'm sorry, but I don't believe some of these places that they show what Jesus did this, Jesus did that, this happened. I don't believe it's accurate, number one. Number two, I think there's a lot of money behind this. And it's not just money, pay me and I'll take you to Israel. It's come join the club. Come join the club. And it's like I said, the Catholics behind this, the Pope, and they got the money. And the more people that come there and look at these things, the more money that it brings in. Okay. Anything you want to add on to that, Diana?
Well, I also went to Rome. I wanted to see what was behind the Vatican. And same thing there, John the Baptist's head is in Rome and his body's in Israel. It's like, I'll go there and, this is where he's buried. I thought he was buried over in Israel. These are, like you said, it's just to bring in money.
Right. It is to bring in money. Now, Shanita, you come from a household, your dad's a pastor, was a pastor. You went to church all your life. And the only reason I'm bringing you into it is there's a lot of people out there that came from a church. They're either still in it or they've been burned by it. What is it about the church, Shanita, do you think, where they dropped the ball? What's the one thing they need to do in order to really step up to the plate and be warriors for God?
Well, one of the things I appreciate about Diana is that she sees with spiritual eyes. And I think, growing up in the church, I just always thought, well, this is the way it is because this is the way I've been taught and that's what I trust. It's biblical. But I feel like it takes almost like a rebirth or a willingness to be cleansed of everything that could be false.
Yeah. In other words, don't follow your religion. Don't follow tradition. Always follow the movement of God, which is going to go usually against religion, right?
Right.
Because religion is about the money. So, Diane, we're going to go underground. And if you can stay with us, we're going to have people call in. They're going to ask us questions. They want to talk to you. Man, Noahide laws, I can tell you, the phones and the videos are going to light up, man. People have been waiting for this for a long time. Do you think you could be with us on Underground to talk to a few people and answer a few questions?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, that's great. We're talking to Diana Ketterman. I want you guys to, and Diane, we'll be back with you in just a minute. I want you guys to go to davidheavener.tv, sign up. And if you do sign up for the first time, and I have to show you this because it's important, this is Underground. So you sign up, send an email to admin@davidheavener.tv. So Shanita knows who you are. But from then on, you'll always get a link, right, Shanita?
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I just want to tell people, first of all, thank people for praying for us, all the prayers, all the encouragement, all the donations that we've gotten. We're still always needing money to be on more platforms, to do Last Evangelists. If you'd like to consider giving to the ministry, davidheavener.tv/give, or text the word chosen to 91999. If you need prayer, call 844-806-0006. Talk to Shanita. She'll be happy to pray for you. And also, too, if you've got an old junker laying around, we'd like to donate to this ministry. You can call 855-500-RIDE. or if you got some land, you can call 844-277-HOME. It will bless their ministry and also this ministry. Don't forget your Vax t-shirts, folks. My vaccine's the blood of Jesus. Don't forget that. All right, Shanita, before we go, anything else you'd like to say in closing?
No, I'm just super grateful for what Diana has uncovered, and I'm really looking forward to Underground, getting questions answered.
Yep, I am super excited. Okay, thank you, Shanita. Love you. All right, guys, I love you guys. I appreciate it. We're going to see you Underground. Don't you go anywhere. And remember, you never really live till you found someone worth dying for, and that's Christ Jesus. All right, God bless you. I just want to thank you for watching my shows. My new show, episode 2 of Last Evangelist, is out. It's about the jab, the deadly jab, the truth of it. And if you'd like to see it, you can go to davidheavener.tv and watch it. It talks about the mark of the beast, the new AI Bible, this new Jesus they've created. I want you to go and sign up right now, davidheavener.tv, or call 844-806-0006. Episode 2 depicts of the world of which the vaccine operates, the deception behind it, what's happening now and what's going to happen in the very near future. You know, we're in the middle of filming episode 3 of Last Evangelist. And if you haven't seen episode 1 and 2, you got to watch it. Episode 3 deals with mind control, AI. And folks, it's coming. And I'm asking if you'll get involved in donating to episode 3. Just go to lastevangelist.com and you can be an actor, you can be a producer, you can get hats, t-shirts, whatever, but it will help us. God said, go to my people, don't go to studios. And I'm not. I'm going to God's people, coming to you. So please help us with this to get the word out, to expose the Antichrist. Go to lastevangelist.com. If you would like to help out the ministry, you can go to davidheavener.tv/give. I love